Welcome to the Passion Over Profits podcast with Top Son Goku, bringing you your weekly dose of Dragon Ball Super collectors content. Stay tuned for exclusive interviews with some of the most knowledgeable DBS collectors in the community.
What's up, guys? My name is Top Son Goku, and welcome back to the Passion Over Profits podcast. Today we're going to talk Super Dragon Ball Heroes cards with Jake. Jake is the face of Dragon Ball Heroes Australia on Instagram. Super Dragon Ball Heroes is an arcade card game, so it's not the same as the trading card games that we have for Dragon Ball Super. There is sealed products, but it's only for promo sets and stuff like that. So the main sets are basically printed once, put in these arcade machines, and that's it, never to be printed again. And I'm recording this after editing down this episode because I'm just mesmerized by this card game, because I'm a total newbie in terms of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I knew nothing about it before our conversation, and I'm convinced. After this conversation, I can just feel myself get into Super Dragon Ball Heroes just because it's just so amazing. I've been looking at Jake's Instagram page, and I'm like, man, this card, I need this card. This artwork is just amazing. And so if that's you and you're interested in this card game, then make sure to stick around and listen to this amazing podcast. I hope I was able to make the cuts kind of okay for you guys, because I think like 2 hours and 45 minutes is just going to be way too long. But 1 hour and 45 minutes is kind of more manageable. And I know that some of you guys have asked me to, make longer types of episodes. So I hope this kind of fills this need. Hopefully, again, it doesn't take away from the experience and you can just enjoy the conversation. So talk to you soon, guys. Take care.
Hey, Top Son Goku. I am Jake. I am the owner, I guess, of Dragon Ball Heroes Australia, what I like to call and what my community likes to call the birthplace of Super Dragon Ball Heroes cards in Australia. And yeah, I'm just here to bring the knowledge that a lot of people seem to think that I have of these cards, because there's a bit of a knowledge gap I've found with many, many people.
Absolutely.
Always questioning like what the go is with them.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the podcast, because I've seen your Instagram account already many times, and I was like, bro, this guy is like next level. He's like a super duper professional. Okay. And somehow you kind of felt out of reach. I know it's stupid. But whenever I was looking at your pictures, to me it seemed like you were like this corporate that's behind your profile picture. There was like a corporation of like 10 people, and that if I was gonna message you, I would have like customer service or something. That's how it felt, right. because it's so professional, right? I don't know.
Thank you.
Man, you take those pictures to post to your websites, and it shows, man. You take care of all the pictures and stuff, and it shows. Like, it's beautiful, it's amazing. So thanks for coming to the podcast. I wish we could have talked more in the past.
Yeah, when I was I only really followed you on Instagram recently, but I've seen you over and over and over again mentioned by about 100 different people over time. And I think I actually tagged you in some of my original posts because you were one of the first names that ever came up. It's an honor to be here. I really liked the other podcast episodes, which is why I reached out, because I just felt like, as Dragon Ball Heroes and Super Dragon Ball Heroes has become more and more popular, it might be a bit of a relevant topic for some people.
For sure. So you say you're the birthplace of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Can you elaborate a little bit?
In Australia.
In Australia, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you opened the box of Pandora when it comes to Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Like you made it very accessible in Australia, and then it's just like it's just like the stepping stone for the rest of the world, I think.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. But I mean, at least for Australia, it does feel that way. So let me take you back, right?
Mhm.
3 years ago, first trip to Japan, yeah? And as someone that collected trading card game cards like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, growing up, like a lot of people in our generation, as soon as I entered any of the thousands of hobby stores over there, like my eyes were drawn to the arcade card cabinets because just the quality, like the print quality, everything was incredible. And that's not just for Dragon Ball Heroes, that's for all the top end arcade games over there. I just thought that this is incredible, but why is no one talking about it? And I spent the next 6 months to 2 years trying to get people to talk about it, I guess. And when I showed people the cards over here, the ones that I wasn't keeping in my own personal collection, following your guidance from the dark side of collecting. Number 3,
Yeah.
trying to keep the cards that I love as opposed to the ones that I don't love so much. I learned that a lot of people didn't know what they were. They had no idea whatsoever. They were influenced by a few, small people that were just talking down because they were, on the hype for DBS or Pokemon or whatever, and they just make offhand remarks about things just to try and keep it on the down low or to keep interest away from it and more geared towards what they were trying to prop up, I guess, on a pedestal. Um, I noticed that quite a lot, and it took a lot of time and effort to get to the point we were at last year when we officially properly launched. I called it a relaunch, but it was more of an official launch of the website. Anyone that isn't familiar, it's dbheroes.com.au. Small plug, I guess, but that is where things sort of really kicked off because the first thing I did when I made that site was create a blog post
Mhm.
for people because that was the biggest thing. Everyone would always, when I posted any pictures of cards, as the very, very minor amount of popularity grew for them or interest grew for them, everyone would message me saying, "What are those? How do I get packs of them?" And people to this day still send me that message every day. How
Yeah.
do I get packs of these cards? And I made a blog post to try and help them to understand that it is an card game and not a trading card game, and
Yeah.
how and why that's different. Um, yeah, that's me for the last 3 years, really.
Man,
The last year since I launched has been incredible.
I think you launched like right at the right time because all TCGs were booming,
Mm,
and I mean you were meant to have a lot of influx. It was just meant to be, and if that website is already in place, then I mean it's meant for to be a success. I mean, so well done on that because you could
oh,
have just said, oh, next month or and because I
yeah.
think is do you experience it as well, like that the market right now is slowing down? Do you experience it
Well,
also in Super Dragon Ball Heroes?
well, obviously, like with COVID, everything hobby boom, right? That was pretty evident at the time. And to be honest, even launching in June last year, I was only able to do that because of the whole COVID situation itself, like having to work from home, having the extra time because of that, not being at work full time, away from the cards, away from my camera and the community and
Yeah.
the tools to build the website, right? So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, so since then, the interest was like peak at that point in time,
Hmm.
I would say. Maybe the next few months after that, it was peak for hobbies in general. And I have noticed, as I'm sure everyone in the space has, that, hobbies are dying down. People are getting more access to leave their house, I suppose, around the world. And I don't think it'll ever return to what it was. I think it's always going to be a bit higher than what it was at before for hobbies in general, right? But people have more money that they can actually spend to go places now, even though it might be domestic, instead of just sitting at home collecting and buying cards and opening packs of things for fun because they're bored, which is a lot of people were doing, right? But for heroes, I've actually, it seems that it doesn't directly correlate with the likes of Pokemon, the likes of DBS, as
Oh,
far as
really?
as far as the dip that we're currently seeing.
Hmm.
And I think that's purely because it's just a combination of things, right? So the dip in Pokemon, or at least the hype in Pokemon, and like eventually pricing people out, led a lot of people to DBS. Would you say that's pretty fair?
Yeah, man, I think so.
Yeah. Well, in saying that, I think that, you know, DBS actually got quite high for at least the chase cards.
Hmm.
Um, and the people that really love Dragon Ball and really want such amazing artworks and things like that in their collection that are priced out of all those chase cards or anything like that, have been coming across this growing community that started incredibly niche, like the niche of niche, and you know it's still niche now, but it's not that smaller scale, as small as it was before. But they've discovered heroes, right, in people's Instagram stories or talking about it or whatever, and they're like, "Wow, you know, I've just checked out this site or whatever, and that card is incredible. It looks so nice." And it's actually affordable is the main thing, right? So then they buy it and they get their hands on it. And with Heroes cards, I mean, anyone that actually has any will tell you that once you actually see them in person, the photos or videos don't do them justice. Like
Yeah.
just with the foiling and the texture, and the whole thing is art. There's no need for the text because it's an arcade card game, which you know we'll get to later, I suppose. But yeah, as far as your question, I don't think the dip has affected Heroes in that way because there's been a slow growth in the niche
Yeah.
heroes community, right, over time, and there's also been the growth because of the hobby spike. Yeah. But DBS, as it's priced people out, they've also, those collectors, some of them have also dipped down into heroes, and as much as everything else is dipping now, heroes, with all the growth that it already had, I think it's still growing. I don't think it's dipping at all. It's just not growing as much as it was.
Yeah. Because do you see the prices of singles go up for Super
Um,
Dragon Ball Heroes? I have
so
no clue about supply and demand, man. So
no, fair enough.
did you see the prices go up?
So actually, funnily enough, the prices during COVID last year, right? The prices for some of the like exclusive, like limited edition print, secrets, which I can elaborate more on later when we talk about arcade card games.
Mhm.
They went up significantly, like along with all the hobby industries,
Yeah.
right? The top end was like $1,500 originally, and then
Wow.
there's a for sealed like limited cards,
Mhm.
and they ended up spiking at around 3,500 Australian.
Damn.
But since then, they've come back down, which reflects the
The
COVID
market.
effect
Yeah.
on the market, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but as far as other cards, they definitely spiked a little as well. And as Hero's popularity has increased, the
Mhm.
chase, like the most popular secrets and whatever, have definitely increased in price from what I had them at originally. Um, back at the beginning, you know, June, July last year.
Mhm.
But they've also slightly dipped, and that is purely because locals in Japan have actually started selling more Heroes cards on eBay. That's the primary factor.
Yeah, I've seen this too. Because last year when I was looking for Super Dragon Ball Heroes on eBay,
Mm.
there
There was
wasn't that
some.
much. Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't that much. And now,
there's a
if I
lot.
type in the code of a specific card, like if
Yeah.
I want a secret rare, like now you have not hundreds of listings, but I mean you can definitely choose your seller, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But the biggest factor there is that it's so difficult to at least in Australia, the shipping options have always been a bit iffy. Like sometimes,
Mm.
but at least back then, you'd see like you can buy this card, this Goku Grail, right? But then it'll have the shipping, and it'll say expected delivery date 30 to 40 days, and it'll be twice or like 50% the cost of the card because all the international shipping at the moment. I don't know about
Yeah,
now
yeah,
exactly, but for a long time it's been
yeah,
messed up. Like all
yeah.
these planes been cancelled. All these services been cancelled, and
Oh man, I'm so glad we're kind of out of this this mess. Because I mean, you might now be, because I mean you're in Australia, you're in lockdown right now. But I mean, the majority of the world is now in a better place compared to last year. But last year, man, so many flights were cancelled. In order to get your mail back home, I mean, you have to be very, very patient, man. I usually for a basic, tracked parcel from the US to where I am in Belgium, Europe, it usually takes like 2 to 3 weeks. And if customs are a bit picky or whatever, it can take 6 weeks, something like that.
That's
but
crazy.
never much more. But there, I bought. I was still collecting Pokemon back then.
Yeah.
I bought a Pokemon card. It was the most expensive Pokemon card I ever bought back then, right? Like $1,000, something like that, and or maybe 1,500. I don't remember. And I had to wait, like, I think it was 15 weeks. I waited 15 weeks for that card. I was already out of Pokemon.
15 weeks.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I was already out of Pokemon when it arrived.
Oh my god. I mean, I thought 6 weeks was bad enough, but 15.
15.
That's a third 15. Of a year.
And what happened is that in the US it was so fucked up, like because I mean I purchased at probably at the worst possible time. In the US it was so fucked up that it actually went from one warehouse to another before even getting on the plane to go to Europe. It went from one warehouse to another in the US because those warehouses were just so full, because they never had the opportunity to ship internationally because all these flights were canceled. So they were only accumulating parcels and stuff, and they had no place to put it. Man, it was so fucked up. Man, I'm so glad we're out of this.
Oh
crazy
no, me too.
Situation, man. It's
100%.
Oh man, like I mean, you
we're
guys are
in lockdown, but
but
it's not that bad over here. You know what I mean? Like we can't drive more than 5 kilometers from our house, but
man, that's what I've told. I mean, I told you, like, man, you guys, you're very, very aggressive when it comes to dealing with COVID, but your freedoms are so stripped away. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think somebody sneezed, like somewhere in the countryside, and our head of state just decided, no, that's it, lockdown, round 17, and here we are.
I mean, I'm a medical doctor. Okay.
Oh, really?
So I am a medical doctor. So
okay.
I'm all for the aggressive approach. It just the contrast between your approach and the approach of the rest of the world it's kind of it's noticeable. So
right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We seem to be very scared of it.
Our politicians are still like kind of debating what to do because our numbers are definitely going up exponentially by the day. Like we were at the lowest point since I don't know, like 6 months or so. We were at the lowest point like 2-3 weeks ago, but ever since now we're peaking up exponentially. It's unbelievable. So anyway, maybe my government is a little bit too lax or something. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say what the right approach is,
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna talk about the market and COVID and stuff like that in a separate video. So let's just get on with it.
Sure.
So like you said, Super Dragon Ball Heroes definitely grew together with the TCG hype during COVID. I remember knowing nothing about Dragon Ball Heroes, and I still say to this day that I know nothing about it because people shouldn't ask their questions to me, right? They should ask their questions to you.
I mean, feel free. My inbox is open.
Yeah. If people ask questions to me, I will just refer them to you, man. But let's maybe start like what is Super Dragon Ball Heroes? What's the concept? What's the difference between a regular TCG?
It's probably a good place to start. So, okay, so Super Dragon Ball Heroes, right? It is an arcade card game. It is not a TCG, which is probably like the biggest factor that people just fail to understand because it looks like it's a trading card, right? It's a collectible card, so how is it not from a TCG? How are there not packs?
And what's very
So
confusing is that there are packs sometimes, like promo
yeah,
packs or
that's
something.
and we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
um, okay, so what is Super Dragon Ball Heroes? Well, if you go to dvheroes.com.au and go to the blog post, that is
Heroes
actually a good place
101.
to start. Heroes 101, all you need to know.
I
That's
will put
right.
that link. I will put that link in my bio. So I
That's a
have
good
a link
idea.
tree. I have a
Mhm.
link tree, and one of the tabs will be Heroes 101.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for that. But so basically, Heroes, right? It's an arcade card game. Now, what that means is that in Japan, right? For one, Heroes is only available in Japan and Taiwan, but that's not relevant to the discussion. So it's only available in Japan on the arcade machines there, which are the Super Dragon Ball Heroes arcade machines. So it is an arcade card game, and what that means is that since it was introduced in 2009, like the end of 2009, 2010 mostly, you would go into an arcade in Japan, which are very popular. I don't know, it's part of the Japanese culture that staying at home on PC gaming and stuff like that isn't really as much of a thing, probably because people's homes are smaller and that kind of thing. So arcades are incredibly popular over there for like social gatherings or for kids going out and playing somewhere, like I guess like they were in the West, 20, 30 years ago. So you'll go to your local arcade and they'll have a Heroes arcade machine, most likely, a couple machines. And you'll sit down and you'll put in a 100 yen coin, which is about $1.25 Australian. And you'll get a card. It'll slide down into the collection compartment of the machine from somewhere inside, and you'll pick it out and you'll use it to play the game because Heroes arcade machines actually have two screens. There's a screen you look at, of course, that has the gameplay on it, but the second screen is on the bottom, flat out in front of you, and you actually put the card on there to play the game. It spawns the character in the game, like it's on the card. Whatever the form is, whatever the abilities are, like that's what it puts in the game for you. And yeah, you slide it around when it prompts you to use abilities and move it forward to attack. There is a Switch game that's Super Dragon Ball Heroes. It used to be on 3DS as well. That only goes up to a particular set from a couple years ago, though. It doesn't have all the cards or anything, but if you're familiar with that game, then you'll be familiar with the mechanics of how the actual gameplay works. But nonetheless, it is far superior to actually have the physical cards in your hand and be able to use them to play the game. It's a very cool concept that Japan came out with, and that is the nature of arcade card games. So that set that you get, whatever that card is from, in this instance, I think it's September 2010, and Heroes Set 2 just came out. You walk in, you get your card, you're playing, blah, blah, blah. 2 months later, 1.5 to 3 months, so on average 2 months, they come out with a new set, okay?
That's incredible.
There's a Dragon Ball Heroes manga, and the set and like the storyline in the arcade card game that you're actually playing through, like bits and pieces of, and all the characters and whatever, it's all tied to the Heroes manga. And when the new set comes out, it moves on to the next. It's not necessarily the next chapter, but the next part of the story in the manga, in the Heroes
Does it follow
multiverse.
the yeah? Because there's an anime, right? That's not what you're talking about with manga.
Yes.
Right?
So the anime, I'll get to that. The anime does tie into it as well. Now
Yeah.
it didn't used to exist back in the day.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Yeah, so you get your cards, blah blah blah, and then after 2 months, you move on to the next set. So maybe you were playing Hero Set 2, and now Hero Set 3 has come out. And across Japan, the same day, at midnight that night, or overnight at some point, I suppose, of the release day, all the arcades in Japan that have a Dragon Ball Heroes arcade machine will, if the stock hasn't already been emptied out, which is almost always the case,
Wow.
you'll notice when you go to Japan in the arcades to play Heroes arcade machine, if it's like the day or two before release day, it just won't have any cards in it, and there'll be a sign up saying, unfortunately, blah blah blah, out of stock, can't play this. So yeah, the night will come for release day, and the people from Bandai, I assume, or people they contract to take the cards to the arcades will do so. And the new set will be released. They'll update all like the signage on the machines, the sample cards that everyone's seen around everywhere, which I'll only touch on briefly, but sample cards are the things that get displayed at the top of the top screen on the machine.
Yeah.
They're just like there to show you what you can win from it. Yeah, they'll be all put on, and the new piece of the story and missions and whatever will be programmed into all the machines at once, pushed out to everything, and all the new cards will be stocked. They actually come from Bandai in random stacks of 100, which are covered on both sides, so you can't actually see what they are as the arcade owner or employee.
Yeah.
You just insert them into the back of the machine, and the machine will disperse them whenever you put 100 yen in, and that's it. Like, that's the new set. So the key point to remember there is that old set that you were playing the other day for those couple months until the new set came out, that's it. It's gone. So the cards that people got from that set when you could play it, those are the cards, right? There's no sealed product of it. There's no means of obtaining it now aside from going to hobby stores around Japan or other people who had the cards that haven't traded them into hobby stores to sell them off, and trying to acquire them secondhand as best you can. Usually it's hobby stores because, again, the culture in Japan, you tend to avoid personal transactions. People tend to favor those hobby store kinds of
Yeah.
transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's incredible. So after 2 months, the
On
the
average, 2
entire
months, yeah.
previous set is gone. It's
Yes,
non-existent.
it's
You
not
cannot-
playable. You can't get the
That's
new
insane.
cards if you
So
if
they
you call them new.
rotate every 2 months. All the previous cards are not playable anymore.
Oh no,
You
they're
ne-
playable. You can use them on the machine,
Oh,
right? You can use all Heroes cards on the machine, even the
Okay.
promos, but you can't obtain them from
yeah,
machines
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Damn, man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And how do you obtain your cards?
Okay. So
The juicy
directly tied to that is going back to my mention earlier when I've been in Japan a few times over the last few years until COVID hit, of course, but in that time, initially discovered arcade cards, thought, wow, these are incredible, blah blah, why is no one talking about them in the West? And did what I tried to do, which is bring it to light, which I think has worked quite well so far. But the thing is, like, when I was over there, those times I was alone. I made some friendships with some people, made some really good friends actually. And to begin with, they were just literally going to the hobby stores for me. I'd give them a list. They were picking out the best quality stuff, that kind of thing, right? And now, over time, that's sort of increased as more demand has appeared. That's increased. There's been more volume, so it's tricky to just do that. Yeah. So the hobby stores that we were frequenting to get these cards, we've basically built up rapport with them. We've built up relationships with them, and now it's a lot easier to get more of the cards because of those relationships, right? So essentially, the cards will come out of the machine. Some people might be playing just to get them to sell them because gambling is a bit of a thing over there. It's not really talked about, but it's a bit of a thing over there, and that plays into it 100%. So these, as much as it is, you'll see kids at the arcades for the most part, but there are quite a lot of adults that just play them to try and get the hit things, sell them off or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they'll be traded into these hobby stores, and then we'll negotiate with them to get them, and we'll pick out the best quality ones. That's always been my thing with DB Heroes Australia, Dragon Ball Heroes Australia, right? Um, we've always had the thing where all the cards are handpicked because that's literally what happens, which means that we filter out the damaged goods. There's plenty of them, especially as you go back and back through time to the
Of
oldest
course.
cards. Yeah, they're literally hand selected, and that's the thing I think that I pride my business on, like bringing them to Australia, right, and making it known. But the thing is, um, we don't sell anything that's below what I guess you could call like near mint plus. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Anything
yeah.
else, it just goes into a sleeve still, even if it's damaged, and into a container to be used for really, really cheap, like damaged card packs, or like $10 for 30 cards or whatever, things like that, or just freebies or just for binders, but we don't actually sell them as stock, which is the main point.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing, man. Because
Hmm.
for the ones listening who don't know Jake, I mean, he's a graded collector. He has a
Oh, yes.
very, very vast collection. It's incredible. So many
Well,
black labels
thank you.
out there. Um,
Yeah,
what's
I
your
think over
experience? Is
1,000
it?
cards graded in the last 8 months, but yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean,
If I
you're.
didn't get any black labels from that, I'd be pretty upset, I think.
Oh man. Uh, People have been telling me like, yeah, man, the quality of Super Dragon Ball Heroes is insane. You should get into it, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me scroll through eBay and get the few cards that I really like. And so I selected that one card that almost looks like a mirror. I posted it one time on my Instagram page.
Oh yeah,
There's
the BMPS 01 Goku
there
promo.
you go. It's a promo. There's no cracked
Yep,
eyes.
yep,
And it's a UI Goku card. So let's go. And I was like, okay, let me just order like two. You know, quality is insane. Let me just order like two of them and see what
yep.
happens. Maybe I have like one gradable card. Both damaged. I was like, okay. Let me, you know what? Let me buy the sealed promo pack for $150. Let me just buy the
Wait,
sealed
sorry?
promo pack. Yeah, I paid that. So, yeah,
Oof.
I'm that fool because I know nothing about Super
No,
Dragon
no,
Ball
fair
Heroes.
enough,
I'm
and
like,
that's a
you know
big
what?
problem
It's
with Heroes, and that's
uh,
one of the reasons why I'm here.
yeah. See, like I'm like, okay, I know nothing about Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Here's a
Yeah,
sealed pack. I know the
yep.
single card costs like $10 or something, but the sealed pack, maybe that's a rare thing. But I'm gonna open
Mm.
it because I want the card. Um, and if it's to grade and get a BGS 10, I mean, $150 is nothing. Your grading fee is gonna be more expensive.
Yep.
So I'm like, let me just buy that pack and damaged again. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
So hearing you say that you filter out all these cards before you
Mm.
even put them for sale on your website, I mean, that just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only say that it's gonna be very, very appreciated over the coming years because the more Dragon Ball Heroes get rotated out and the more the
Yep.
condition goes down, then
Deteriorates with the older cards, yeah.
your website is gonna be a staple
Well,
because it's
yeah,
I mean the
thanks. I mean,
quality might be just super high. It's not because the production quality is high that there's nothing going wrong between production and you getting a card in your hands. It's not like you're gonna order it from eBay and get a black label. So
yeah, no, exactly. And there's a few big factors as far as the condition, right? So
mhm,
one of them is that none of them are coming fresh from the factory unless it's like,
of course.
yeah, I don't think there's any kind of instance where that's happening. So what's actually happening is, you're getting them from the machine, right? And then, you put your 100 yen in and it slides down, and you collect it from the little tray, and you notice that, oh, there's a little dot on that corner where it slid down, or it bumped something on the way down, or when it hit the bottom. And you're like, okay, well, this is brand new, right?
Yeah,
But it's already got a dot.
yeah,
um, as much as the print quality is incredible and like the print stock is fantastic, but the nature of actually acquiring the cards does limit you. And that's why even on some of the cards we stock, there's going to be dots. They're tiny little specks of dust on pretty much all cards, and they're still certainly BGS 10 worthy, depending on the grader's emotions on that day, I suppose. But and I've actually seen a card get a black label that has one of these specs, but that's one factor. Like you're getting them from these arcade machines, and the arcade machines are machines that are trying to shoot the card out to you like it's dog's toy or something instead of a highly desired card that you want to carefully pick up and put in a sleeve.
Yeah, I mean
So
it's a
that's one
card.
factor.
It's an arcade game, so it's designed to be played on that screen
Exactly.
and to rub it
And
on there and
yeah, so the kid will pick it out. He'll
yeah.
accidentally like scrape it a little with his fingernails as he tries to pick it up, and then he'll slap it down. And yeah, and then the next factor is, of course, that there's so much, especially on some of the promos, like the full gold or silver promos, or some of the high rarity cards, where there's just incredible amounts of layers of foil, like stamped foil or any kind of foiling, textured foiling. There's so much of it, right? And of course, when you have that much foiling on the front side, it's going to be so easily scratched by
Yeah.
like anything, and it's going to be hard to notice it because there's so much going on, and it's very on the edges. Like it's so easy for it to sort of start to come away if it's like very slightly touched or nicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and any kind of mark is going to be evident as a white mark on especially the gold cards. I've had so much trouble with them.
Yeah.
I would say that, just a little side note, I'd say that maybe 70% to 80% of the cards that are already handpicked, right? They're already handpicked in Japan and sent over because they seem good enough. When we get them, I'm just sitting there like, I can't sell this because this corner or whatever of this gold is just like starting to fleck a little bit or whatever, and it goes in this box. And all these golden SSP Gokus are just sitting there like waiting for their day because they don't get to be sold, right? It's painful. And I think that Goku you were talking about is one of the most difficult because it's like pure silver. It's basically a mirror. Any kind of scratch is going to be like incredibly obvious immediately. And it's just the nature of heroes. Any of the nicest promos and a lot of the high rarity cards are just prone to damage because of the next level foiling they've got, which I guess it's a curse. It's a curse being so nice looking.
Man, it's super. I mean, it's great that we're having this conversation because going from Instagram, it's easy to get the misconception that you grade a Super Dragon Ball Heroes card and it comes back a black label. Because
okay.
I mean, the few SDBH quote unquote influencers have those black labels, and I don't see that happening too much with DBS or I mean, yeah, okay, it happens with DBS, of course. But there's just a misconception that it's so easy to grade, and then you're having this conversation like, man, before I send a card for grading, you have friends that go over the stock.
Exactly.
The pile as well, even just to feel comfortable selling it. So let's not even talk about your personal collection, but I mean, so it's SDBH is basically. I mean, it's arguably even harder because it is harder because you can't just open.
It certainly
products.
can be. Yeah, it certainly can be. If you're getting like high quality photos of cards before you're buying them online somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Of that specific card that's actually for sale, then you can filter out a lot of that, right? Of course, as a buyer, but a lot of the time the photos are blurry or. Yeah, are you actually going to be sent that card in the photo, even though it looks like it's being taken uniquely, right? They've taken it and there's 7 in stock, right?
Yeah.
From these random people in Japan that don't have any reason, like rhyme or reason to provide you with quality goods. Like, what, are you going to report them on eBay? How's that gonna work? Like, they're not going to take you seriously. I had a friend that picked up an amazing rare Kyogre on eBay recently. and the photo for it was well centered, and he got sent one that was like almost a picture off the card, completely different, and he sent both photos to eBay as evidence, and they said, sorry, this isn't good enough, blah blah blah, we can't help you. So things like that are a massive pain, and that's why that's one of the biggest things that
PayPal and
I try
eBay.
and make clear that
Yeah.
we provide, like we do the filtering for you and provide the only the good stuff. It feels really bad taking out these cards sometimes. I'll get a Vegeta Grail in my hand and I'll notice that on
Yeah,
this edge
I
there's a little
know.
dent that was overlooked. So
I
I'm just
know.
like, oh, okay, well this
Makes
is going in the box.
makes you a little bit sick to your stomach, right? It's like,
Yeah.
shit. Yeah,
Why
I
did that
know.
kid have to stab it with a pencil or something 5 years ago? You know what I mean?
Man, that's so unique to being a collector. I think is
Mm,
we are so picky when it comes to condition. Like you have this
yeah.
one card, and it's exactly the same as the other. It's just that you have like a tiny mark on the corner, and for us, it's
Mm,
like it decreased like 100-fold in our in value in our minds. It decreased a
100%.
hundredfold, and you're like, shit, man, this is going to the binder. Because I mean, I have a binder of cards that I really like, but
Yeah.
I'm not a binder guy. I just have a binder because I have no choice, because I have so many
Yeah.
cards that just don't make it into the grading pile. But yeah, man, I can totally
Mm.
resonate with that.
Oh no, 1,000,000%. And I think the biggest thing with the grading point that you were discussing was that, back in the day, I guess at the end of the day, like grade is a human, right? It's not quite progressed to the point where you grade with a company and everyone that actually does the grading is some AI machine that knows exactly what the grade is, maybe in 10 years.
Yeah, it might be
But
the future, but that's not
might be the future.
that's
But
not right now.
currently, that's not the thing, right? It's humans, and Heroes. It's still niche. It was incredibly niche back then when I started grading. I have actually got a really good point of comparison for it. But the thing is, like over time, graders at Beckett, because currently, if anyone isn't unaware, you can only grade Heroes cards with Beckett from like the main three, PSA,
Yeah,
CGC, and Beckett.
yeah.
And back then, it did seem a little easier to get black labels and gold tens and whatever, because you'd send in cards that you thought were perfect and blah blah blah, and maybe they would actually be deemed perfect. You get the gold 10, you get the black label, and that's how I got the first few that I had. Maybe 4 or 5 initially that weren't like sold on to start things off with the business and give it a bit of a boost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give it some attention, but as time went on, right, especially the start of this year, and I've noticed it with other heads of communities that I follow and other people that grade quite a large volume of things, for like DBS or even some Pokemon stuff. The grading has gotten, for those things that weren't well documented in Beckett Pop reports that I haven't graded hundreds and hundreds of cards of and we're incredibly familiar with, right? As of the start of this year, they've been slamming them. Like,
Yeah.
I'd see returns come back for DBS cards, right? And there'd be maybe a black label. Keep in mind, this person has been sending cards and looking over cards for ages. They've had all this stock to look over or whatever and pick out the best. And they get like a black label and some 10s and then like 59.5s. And you're just sitting there like, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Have they just become more critical? Are they trying to control the market and the population? So as of the start of this year, that's what it's been like. It's been nuts. I think that, I don't know if there was like some policy implemented. It's not like they'd ever admit to anything like that, right? But yeah, definitely at the start of this year, the comparison has been that compared to last year, grading has
much
been
harder.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
way more difficult.
I
Like
think
I had
that's across the
spreadsheets
board.
set up.
Yeah.
I had spreadsheets
think
set up
it's
where like tens would come through at some double-digit rate, and since the start of the year, it's like
single digits.
yeah, it's crazy. It's been ridiculous. Because you send in perfect cards, and it just makes you really sad.
Yeah, I think that's a topic for a different podcast. But in my opinion, uh, BGS has come to a point where it's. I mean, probably for one day they just have so many cards coming in, and they can't keep up with demand. So really going through all the cards as planned through a microscope and whatever, that's maybe a little bit
Yep,
optimistic.
100%.
But
They would
number
never
two,
admit to it, but yeah.
yeah, yeah, they will never. But and number two, I mean, you might speculate that that's giving the cards 9.5 can be in their financial benefits because you're gonna crack it and send it back. Whereas
Yes.
if you get a 10, you're never gonna do that. So yeah. But hey, that's a topic for a
No,
different
for
podcast,
sure.
I think.
I just wanted to touch on
But
that after
but
discussing
it's
like
it's
my own
interesting
collection.
that you say that grading is tougher for you as well with SDBH, because we've seen it with Pokemon, with PSA, we've seen it with BGS and DBS as well. I thought it's just like the grading companies are getting used to grading DBS and SDBH, and they just know what to look for,
I
whereas
would
they
say
didn't
that's
know
part
that
of it too.
before. That's
Yeah.
definitely part of it too. But there's something else going on, man. There's something else going on because
There
you
has
have
to
those
be.
very experienced collectors, that
Hmm.
have sent thousands upon thousands of cards, and suddenly they get back nines, and they're like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. Do you watch the SDBH anime?
Yes. Yes.
When I watch it, it's I mean it's kind of slow. The production is not like DBS.
No.
It's kind of weird. It's a weird transaction, right? I finished watching
Yes.
DBS and I was like, okay, what else is out there? Oh, SDBH, and I'm like, man, this is such a ripoff, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give an explanation there,
Yeah.
right? So, just a little bit of background, I suppose. So,
Mhm.
Heroes came out 2010, yeah, and
Yeah.
then 2016 they essentially rebranded to Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which, if you're looking back at the cards, sometimes you'll see the year it was produced. But the biggest thing is that it'll print like the title of the series. It'll either say Dragon Ball Heroes or there'll be a little super above it,
Mhm.
and that will mark when they transitioned. It was actually not as popular before they rebranded Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but then I think they've revamped it. I think it was also in line with DBS anime,
Yeah.
reaching like peak,
Of course.
or right before it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And over time, after DBS anime sort of fizzled out, finished up until whenever the next arc is coming. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
In 4 years,
the
something. Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. Um, they basically decided to make their own promotional anime, which is designed specifically to promote the arcade game.
Yeah.
And that's why they're little 8-minute episodes. That's why there's nowhere near as much budget for it, because
Yeah.
it's only like a particular division
Of
of
course. Yeah.
Bandai. But it's definitely gotten better over time, that's for sure. It was made as a promotional anime for the cards and the game itself in Japan to go and play it. That's why they showcase them at the end of a lot of the episodes. And it directly ties in with the Dragon Ball Heroes manga, which is, the base story that
Mhm.
all of Dragon Ball Heroes, the gameplay you play in the machines, the sets that come out, everything, the anime,
Yeah.
tied into. And it's everything. It's not canon. They just have everything you could possibly imagine in Dragon Ball across all the multiverse, whatever. So you see regular Goku fighting alongside Xenoverse Goku,
Yeah.
all the games and stuff as well. So it's really cool. A lot of people don't like it because it's so out there, I guess, and it's not canon, similar to not liking GT for that reason. But um, regardless of that, I think it's really interesting and it's pretty awesome how it is directly tied to, I mean, the manga, but the actual game, because
Mhm.
as each episode comes out, whenever a set comes out, right, you'll see that whatever's currently happening in like the most recent episode, the current episode, and maybe like the next one or two, um, that'll be like you'll have an idea of what the cards are going to be. Like the secrets, for example, like they don't get announced till release day, but you'll have some idea because there'll be some epic moment.
Yeah.
Like Big Bang Mission 9 just came out a couple weeks ago in Dragon Ball Heroes in Japan, and the most recent episode was the introduction, spoiler,
Yeah.
of Super Saiyan 3 masked Goku
Yeah.
Rose, and lo and behold, that's one of the secrets, and it looks
Nice.
amazing. And it's
Nice.
really cool to see that direct correlation, right?
Mhm.
So it isn't not super high budget. They're pretty short episodes. It's a promotional anime though, so it's not meant to be some
No.
proper high budget thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, man, it seems like, I mean, we're so blessed that our hobbies are linked to this massive company who can afford to do not only produce exceptional cards, but also,
Yeah.
you know, just add a little promotional anime, right? It's incredible. We're so blessed with this because it increases your experience as a collector, because you can you now,
1,000,000%.
it's not like they randomly created a new character and slapped it on a card. No, you have an entire storyline behind it, and that's just amazing.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
as
amazing.
much
And
as a
this
lot
is,
of the story is a bit random,
yeah, the story
in the episodes at least. In the manga, it's
it
not
seems a
quite
little
as
bit,
random, but
yeah,
yeah, I think they try and cram it all in, to those 8
yeah,
minutes. This is quite a bit,
yeah,
so.
yeah, I tried to watch SDBH many times,
Yeah,
many times, and rewatching, of course, because of course you're not gonna start an anime at the point where you left out, so you gotta rewatch the first
yeah.
episodes. And man, I think I stopped like at episode 15 or something every time. It's because I really want to experience these epic new characters, but
And then you see them for 2 minutes and then they're gone.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I maybe I just gotta, slam through and watch the anime anyways, because now you have like Berserk Vegeta, you have SS3 Mask Rose and stuff like that. So that's I mean that's stuff that I want to
Yeah.
see, man. So
No, I mean it's really cool. It's such an awesome thing to be able to watch some episode where some new form is introduced, right? And you don't know
right.
what's coming because it's so freaking random, like what they do. Like, oh, there's Cell, he's here now. He's back from the dead. He's got a little halo. Now here's some cards of him. No, but like they introduce a new form and it's like some epic moment, and then 5 minutes later, or a week or two later, whatever, the new set comes out, and the secret is that character in the form, and it's just done so beautifully. There's just so much to collect that's really awesome. Like there's thousands and thousands of cards. Like as I said, it's been out since 2010. Some might say, oh, you can't do that many Goku cards, but they just keep coming out with Goku cards, and some of them cater to other people's tastes.
Man, I posted a story a couple of days back saying like Bandai with DBS, right? I'm talking DBS.
Yep.
It seems like Bandai is holding back massively when it comes to making secret rares of our main characters, because
Right.
I mean, Dragon Ball is the story of Goku.
Yep.
Right? It's the story of Goku and his friends. His friends
Yep.
are even in the background. Like Vegeta is a friend, quote unquote friend. I understand he's a massive rival and whatever, and I love
Touchy subject,
Vegeta.
yeah.
I love Vegeta. So I understand the guys that say that Vegeta is a superior character. I understand completely. But it is the story of Goku. And having in DBS, right? The card game has been out for almost 4 years. Having only one secret rare that is canon Goku, to me, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. They are trying to not be like Pokemon with having a Charizard in every set. But I mean, that's Pokemon, man. You have Pikachu, and Charizard. Those are the two most iconic characters, and that's just it. And the franchise is just supplying whatever the demand is. And for DBS, I just don't see this happening. They are there. Oh man, the new secret rares for DBS have just been released.
I saw them.
And it's yet another random Majin Buu card. It's not even the canon Majin Buu. It's like that random Majin Buu with a suit or something. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? So many opportunities missed. But having said that,
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that Bandai is utilizing the entire Dragon Ball universe. So they don't only use the main series. They also use GT. They use Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Yep.
I think that's amazing because that can only be a good thing for longevity.
Yeah.
As of now, the only thing I'm concerned about is that they keep producing sets. That's the only thing I'm interested in. Like, keep producing sets. It can be hit or miss, but if you keep producing sets, if like 1 in 10 sets is a hit, then that's all good for me, man. And as long as SDBH continues pumping out those weird looking anime, man, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it because I mean they did produce like that Berserk Vegeta, and I was a fangirl. I was like, whoa,
Well, that's the
what
thing.
happened?
And anything is
Yeah,
possible in Heroes. It's awesome.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
There are
half
no limits.
expecting. Yeah, I mean, literally, you saw Goku and Vegeta breaking their limits with their new forms, SS4LB.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm half expecting, after all the focus on Vegeta recently, as
yeah.
like, achieving a new height, they haven't really touched on Gogeta for a bit. I'm half expecting him to break his limits quite soon. Maybe against Super Saiyan 4 Rose or something, you know what I mean? Maybe like a Harnessed Rage limits broken Gogeta or UI Harness Rage or something like that.
Man, that yeah. And see, it just gets me excited because it's something we've never seen before and whatever. But yeah, so
Yeah,
I think that's just all good for our hobbies is that they just keep on creating content. And to the
definitely.
DBS collector, sometimes it feels a little random because I mean, if you don't watch Heroes, then you don't understand what's happening on the card. You're like, what the hell is this? Vegito, this like weird look to him, and
Yeah.
he has that suit. What the hell is this? But
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That
it's
guy's from Xenoverse. You played
yeah,
that game a few years ago, and you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um, there were a couple other things I wanted to touch on. I mean, we discussed it earlier. You get them from the machines, right? And then you have to get them secondhand after that. Um, but as you mentioned, there are packs that you see. So it's like, well, okay, that
yeah. What
directly
about that?
contradicts that then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so with Heroes, right, as I highly recommend you go and just give the blog post a read. That'll be in the bio. Even
Yeah.
just the summary of it at the top, like, it'll take you a minute or two, but it'll give you a full understanding. Um, there's 5 or 6 rarities in the Heroes cards you get from the machines, which is like
Yeah.
the sets, that get released. There's
Yeah.
commons, rares, super rares, campaign promos, which are like subsets within the set. They a group of about 6 to 8 cards. There's usually about 2 of those groups, subsets, in that set, and they have like matching artwork of different
Hmm.
characters, but the theme of them, the art style and the foiling and whatever, the colors and the setting will all be the same.
Hmm.
Um, then you have above that the ultimate rares, and then you have at the highest tier, you have these secret rares, which the rarity on the back will be 4 stars, like
Hmm.
ultimate rares are, but the colors will be inverted. And that's because we refer to them as secret rares, right? But in
Yeah.
Japan, they're actually called secret ultimate rares. That's
Oh
how
yeah.
they sort of
Okay.
dictate them. So those colors are inverted, and the foiling, a lot of the art will be a similar quality, but the
Hmm.
foiling will be silver for secrets instead of gold, which is the foiling on
Right.
ultimates.
Right.
And yeah, those are the cards you're getting from the arcade machines, right? And then, you'll have, especially recently, they've been doing it a lot more with each set, which is cool. Similar to how I think Bandai might be taking, the
DBS.
hint
Yeah.
from people, collectors, where they want god rares and super more exclusive things as collectors, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They seem to be taking the hint that, okay, these limited cards you can get are really cool. So in Heroes, right, when you play the machines, every time you finish up your little session, your 100 yen session that gave you a card at the start, and you get your score and you've finished a fight or whatever, which is all recorded, by the way, on your avatar profile. It's like a little profile card that you like scan at the start of your game.
Oh, that's
Um,
what it is. Okay. Yeah. It's
yeah,
your personal avatar. Yeah.
basically, yeah, and you can design it based on like any of like the races. You've probably seen
Cool.
a few like Saiyan avatars, and
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
they are. That's
Yeah.
meant to be you. Um, so you scan your card, and at the end of the game, you get like some rewards. And I think it would be about every 400 to 500 plays, you'll get like a golden secret reward that'll pop up on your screen.
Wow.
And when they first introduced it back in 2018 with the Gold Leaf Grand Priest, Masked Saiyan, Yamcha, and SSB Vegeta cards, you've probably seen a couple of them on my
Yeah,
page recently. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
So those were the first ones. Um, when they first released them and you won it, like, because that's how you won them, right? You got that random chance at the end of the game, which again, it's very similar to a lot of other gambling markets, even though it's meant to be for kids.
Yeah.
They would get mailed out to you back then. But they did that for those four, and they did it again for the next two that came out in 2019, which was the SS4 Gogeta, Xeno Gogeta, and Vegeta, that like the
Yeah.
red foil one with his arms crossed that you've
Yeah.
seen as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
It's
Like awesome cards.
That's my favorite artwork I've seen so far. I
Yeah,
think.
it's a lot of people's favorite. It's probably one of my top
Man,
three. Like it's so
it's
well
just,
done,
oh
right?
man, so
But
good.
that's how that was like the rough ratio of how you got them back then.
That's insane.
The ratio of getting them would be similar now.
So
But
1 in 500 is a secret rare.
no, not so I'd say about 1 in 3 to 500 plays
Yeah.
will get you one of these limited sealed secrets, or sometimes they like put promo cards in them if they're not secret rare rarity. They do something else like put a promo card in. But you win them, and they used to mail them out, and that's what they did for the first 6, which are the 4 gold leaf ones and the 2 Gogeta, right?
Yeah.
As of last year, they changed it up a bit, and they've been doing one limited sealed card like that every set since BM2, which was the end of last year, Big Man Mission 2. And now you can get one with each set. It's just like the top end thing you can get for that set, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that card might not be as nice as some of like the regular secret rares you can get, but usually it'll be a banger. But these days they don't mail it out. So since they introduced the change of having it be with pretty much every set, you'll get a card like that potentially.
Mm-hmm.
They have them behind the counter. They don't mail them out. So as long as you actually win, the ratio is still like whatever they originally had it at, but they just don't mail them out. And every single one of them that they've ever released has been limited to 10,000 print.
Damn.
Now, what's interesting about that is they explicitly state that it's limited, like in the campaign for it before it's even available to win or anything. They state that it's limited to 10,000 print, but back in the day, right, there weren't anywhere, like it's pretty clear based on the market, based on hobby popularity increasing, and based on Dragon Ball popularity increasing, alongside Pokemon. Pokemon sort of guided everyone through,
Of course,
to these
yeah.
peaks. That Heroes, the arcade game over there, has definitely been increasing in popularity compared to what it was like before. So I don't actually believe that, and that's probably why we see less of them, that as much as it was limited to 10,000 print for those 6 original limited cards, so the 4 gold leaf and the 2 Gogeta Vegito, I don't think they actually printed that many that were like obtained, especially because they were mail order.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's actually that many in circulation. I don't think it'd be close to 10,000.
Yeah.
Especially for the first 4 gold ones. Now, the Gogeta Vegeta, I would say there's more of them. Again, though, I don't think it'd be at the 10,000 mark. But as far as the sealed ones that they've come out with since then, especially for like some of the sealed promo or avatar cards they do, or like ultimate rare sealed limited, you're still winning them the same amount as you were before. It's still incredibly hard to get, but because there's so many more people playing,
Yeah.
and I think there's a few more machines than there used to be, and it's just a bigger market, and there's more of them around.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of them being won and obtained. They've probably hit the caps for them with each set. That's why you see, especially the non-secret sealed cards, being quite cheap relative to the older sealed, limited secret counterparts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the arcade machine side, right? So that's like the top end of it, and that's all from the machines. You have to actually play the machines to get those cards. But there are Heroes cards that aren't from the machines, and you will see them as inserts in magazines, like in little paper inserts you can rip out and
Nice.
tear open, like V-Jump, and a couple other ones. The name escapes me. It's a bit of a tongue twister. I think it's the people that actually make V-Jump. They make another one that has them as well. And every month or two, they'll bring out a magazine, and it'll have an insert from a couple different card games. Usually Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Heroes, whatever. And that'll be a promotional card, and they'll usually just be shadow foil. Sometimes they have some like nice silver foiling as well. There are definitely some nice promos, don't get me wrong, but they're not to the standard of the main set cards.
Okay.
Value-wise, collectability-wise, whatever, in general.
Mm-hmm.
So you get them from the magazine inserts. You can get them from like those packs, like the pack that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
That was a limited release like pack. It always had the same cards in it. It's just something you could buy, and then there'd be a bunch of like common looking promos, and then you'd have like a couple of promo cards that look like the rarity in the arcade sets, and then you'd have like a hit card in the pack, like the best card in the pack, like that Silver Goku, or there was the other one which was the gold foil Gogeta.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was Gogeta. It might have been Goku. But yeah, so there's little packs like those. The biggest thing you'll see that confuses people so much is that I think in the last 6 months I've probably been asked this question like 200 or 300 times just by people on Instagram and stuff. So the booster packs that you see, okay, the promotional booster packs are specifically for promotional cards. So Bandai Cardas will release a promotional set it used to be like every 6 months plus, but I think they've actually released in a smaller window more recently. I think it's closing in. There was a promotional set. They've been doing it since the inception of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, I believe. I don't think there were any before that. So like 2016, 2017. And back then, for those first 10 boxes or sets they came out with, promotional sets, they every box was mapped, as in you'd buy the box and you get the full promotional set, and every pack inside the box had whatever the cards inside of it written on the back of it. And yeah, that was it. That's how you got all of them for those sets. And then once they got to Big Bang Mission era, they decided we'll change this up a bit. People are liking these promo boxes. The Western market, I think, has influenced that a bit. Start not making it like that, where you get every card. We're going to do it so that one, there's like an alternate artwork of like the coolest card in the box, and you don't get every card from the box. The cards inside the packs are random, right? But to be fair, there's usually only 30 plus one secret art card in the set.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's 20 packs in the box and 3 cards in each pack, you get
you get doubles.
in every box. You still get pretty much the whole set minus one of the hit cards. And those are the promo sets. You'll have those particular cards in it, and that's it. You can't get any of the cards in the arcade machines from any of the booster boxes or packs like that, which is really cool. I think that the comparison between ACG and TCG is it all comes down to that the sealed product as time goes on. Maybe John down the road has a Charizard in his sealed base set booster box in his cupboard that he's been sitting on since 1999. You can't do that with Heroes. You can't open a fresh pack with freshly
Nope.
out of the pack cards in 2050. That's not a thing, unless you're going for the promo cards. But they don't have the same value. It's not the same thing,
Yeah.
really.
That actually leads to the next point I was wanting to talk about, is the barrier of entry, because it's with arcade card games. It's not like you can just buy packs online or something. It's not like you have a distributor in Australia selling
Yep.
boxes. I mean, the arcade card game is specifically for Japan and Taiwan.
Yep.
You told me as well, but
Yeah, we'll get to that.
so there is. I mean, you do need connections with Japanese people that can, get the cards for you. Essentially,
Yeah,
there's
basically.
no way around it, because by the way it's
Until
designed.
the thing is, like, until it actually catches on in the West enough for Bandai to recognize that fact, and who knows, maybe bring out English arcade machines in the future. They did a test run of them
Nah.
at I think it was PAX or Comic Con in America in 2016,
Yeah.
and they had 4 promo cards printed in English for that test run, like
Yeah.
introducing the
Yeah.
game to
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and that was it. They never continued with it.
Yeah. I remember I was like, huh. I thought Super Dragon Ball Heroes was only Japanese. What's up with those?
Yeah, and they didn't even
Yeah.
make them extra special. They just had some gold
No.
stamp cards.
No, they
So,
weren't too crazy.
yeah, the barrier for entry is definitely there, and that's been one of the biggest things, like right from the start for me. That's one of the driving factors for doing what I've been doing, is like recognizing the barrier for entry, because clearly that was there. If no one even understood or knew what they were, right? And um, that the questions I get, it's clear that barrier is there. That's why I try and provide as much like information as I can when I can, and that's also why I try and do what I do with only selling cards that are the
Yeah.
highest quality, from
Yeah.
what we get, to try and lessen the people that they go onto these random like sites, Japanese sites or eBay or whatever, and they buy like all these cards and they get them, and I've seen it a fair few times where like there's this collection from Japan and it's in a binder and you go through it and half the cards have either cigarette smoke wafting off them or like bent or whatever, like they've just been played, because that's what, especially back then, towards the beginning of Heroes, it's kids getting the cards and playing with them. You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course.
we did in primary school with Pokemon
Yeah.
cards on the concrete.
Yeah, so true. No sleeves.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I think. I mean, I hope that eventually you'll get some competition and have some more. I want to say middlemen like you that get SDBH out to the Western world, because I mean you're doing a fantastic job. I only wish
Thanks.
that we would have a similar European guy doing the same, but
Yes.
I
Well,
do-
I mean, we do ship internationally, just saying.
Yeah.
But no, I understand what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
it would be. I think it is getting to the point though where, like it's still niche, obviously, right? But the barrier of entry is there, which is making it a bit of a crawl to climb up in awareness and understanding and popularity. Like half the people that I see with the cards, they'll make offhand comments about them that they clearly don't even know anything about it. Like they've just seen it on someone's post for sale, or they've just picked it up on eBay because it looked cool, right? The barrier of entry is just like crazy. Like just for information about them. Like PSA won't grade them, right? They stated they won't grade them because there's no reference that they can make to an official card listing. And that's just because the official card listing is on the Cardhouse Japanese website, and you have
Yeah.
to be able to translate it, and it's all in
Yeah.
images, it's not actual text.
Yeah.
So, if PSA even has a barrier of entry to the cards, then I think the
Yeah.
general population is a bit stuck. And it's something tricky that I'm really trying hard to try and figure out ways to work around for people. And this podcast is 1,000,000% one of those ways. Because
Well, man,
you have a large following and a lot of people that really appreciate you and the content and stuff that you provide. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we both try to to spread awareness about our hobbies, like
Yeah.
show what actually exists. Because even with DBS, man, I mean, you may think like DBS has kind of gotten mainstream, but it's totally not. Like
Well, it
the
does seem like that, but that's coming from my little space. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, there are just a couple sets that are mainstream. Like people
Right.
know the signatures, they know Awakened Power, and they know
Yeah.
Apex, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
When it comes down to other secret rares, it's kind of starting to become more popular in general. But
Mm.
if you go down in I mean promos, even special rares, like people are kind of clueless. It's
Yep.
kind of weird. You see
Definitely.
this. I mean, and 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 I guess it will be the same for SDBH. You will have those massive hit cards, and then the rest is
Yeah.
kind of overlooked.
It's funny with heroes because there are so many cards, right? There have literally been 50 or 60 sets at this point.
That's
And
insane.
every set has about 100 and something cards in it, and then you've
See,
got all the promos that are completely separate to that, right?
yeah,
Um, so you think about that, and then I people ask me about all these really popular secret rares, and they're obviously the ones that sell the most, and blah blah
of
blah.
course.
But then I stock in these cards, or I link to some cards, or someone shares a card they picked up, and the people are like, "Well, what's that?" There's just so much that is just completely overlooked. Like they don't even consider the fact that in Heroes, the lower one of the lowest rarities is Campaign Promo, right? It's below Secret, it's below Ultimate Rare. A lot of the cards you can get the minty ones in the Western market for between like $5 and maybe $20 at a maximum for like the bee's knees, and they're like incredible artwork, foiling, texturing. You've probably seen a lot of them.
Yeah,
There's 8 to 21 of them in every set, depending on how many of the campaign promo subsets there are. And there's just so many that people just don't know exist. Even ultimate rares and a lot of secrets. The people just seem to care about
the
the
secrets.
main secrets because there's
Yeah,
just no awareness yet.
yeah,
It's not like Pokemon.
yeah,
Every set, every single person on the planet knows what the best 5 hit cards in the latest set is like a day after release.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna change, man. It's gonna change. I think it's normal that people start with the hit cards. They kind of want to experience what the best of the best is for that card game, and if they like it, they can move forward, right? Man, ever since starting with DBS, I'm like, do not get into SDBH. Do not get into SDBH.
Well, it's dangerous as much as it is
Yeah,
definitely cheaper to get into,
I'm
especially
scared.
currently. Um, yeah, it's a lot. You go into
Man.
DBS and there's some chase cards and you'll pick them up. They'll be really expensive, but there's not that many that are that people even know about, right?
Yeah.
And then if you go into Heroes and you like scroll through, I don't know, an example like the character section on the site, and you see all these cards for this character that you really like, and there's hundreds of them per character, and like all foiled and beautiful, not just like shadow foil or like just commons or whatever. Um, it's it's dangerous. I've had a lot of people tell me like, I love the cards, but I wish I hadn't got into this because
Yeah.
my collection is this big, and I can't get enough. And
Yeah. I mean, once you start with this, I mean, I've experienced this one myself as well. You have
mhm.
50-50.
Yep,
50-50 chasing.
yep.
He has been
Old mate
huge
Fred.
into Fred has been huge into SDBH lately. I mean
Yep,
lately, like 6 months or so.
yep.
And I mean he sends out probably, I mean he doesn't say it, but he probably sends out hundreds upon hundreds of cards, probably each
Oh,
month. I don't know.
definitely.
I don't know, but
I'd say so.
when I see his Black Label collection, I'm like, dude, you. I mean, whatever. He's at it, and he's been very very successful for it. I'm so happy for him.
Hmm.
But in the end, he gets like 9.5s and stuff as well. And at some
Yep.
point, he was like, "Bro, give me your address." Like what? Oh no, what's happening here? And
Oh, he's great.
he sends out a gift to me, and he sends out the
Not by five Goku Grail.
Yeah, exactly. The UI
Yeah.
Goku with all the other forms around him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no. I mean, like, I'm so happy because if that
He's
obviously
trying to suck you in.
if there's like one card that I need as a UI Goku collector, it's that card, right?
Yes.
It's so beautiful, and
Yes.
I wanted to post an appreciation post for Fred on my IG, and funny enough, this one post is my most liked picture of my entire Instagram.
Oh, really?
It's the most liked post of my Instagram.
Yeah.
That just shows you that there definitely is demand for those epic
There is.
artworks.
It's just figuring out how to tap into it because
Yeah,
of the barrier of entry, you know?
it's just a matter of time before SDBH
Hmm.
becomes not mainstream, but becomes out there, just like DBS.
Well, I believe that now think about this, right? What we've discussed, right? So with arcade card games, you get the cards from the machines, then the sets are rotated, and they print the next ones, and it's an endless cycle. Now, I think that this is directly relevant to DBS as well. I think that, Dragon Ball's gained a lot of popularity, partly thanks to Pokemon, partly thanks to the really cool, like, COVID and the really cool, like, sets that came out for DBS TCG and how popular the game's grown in general.
Yeah,
But also, the Dragon Ball Super was crazy. It brought back Dragon Ball from a decade or two ago, where it was
yeah,
like really awesome, and they
yeah,
just made it more awesome. A lot of people will be nostalgic and say it was better before. Whatever, that's not relevant. But
yeah. Who
it's
cares?
become really popular again,
Yeah,
and for a lot of reasons. And they're going to bring out a new arc for Dragon Ball Super, which is going to just continue that.
yeah,
In my opinion, like especially some of the spoilers I've seen for the manga, it's crazy. And the
yeah.
movie, and you
That's
see
true.
things like the Demon Slayer movie that came out in Japan, right? That's like the highest grossing movie over there ever. Like these
Is it?
anime high, yeah,
Wow.
apparently that's what and it wasn't even that far, like. But my point there is that like you have movies like Dragon Ball Super, Resurrection F. You have the
Yeah,
Broly movie, which was crazy, and they
yeah,
also made it canon, which is like
yeah.
so, like there's so many people that absolutely love Broly above
Of
all
course.
else,
Yeah,
right? So you do that, you bring in all these people together, and you're just building all this hype up.
yeah,
Like if an anime movie comes out and it's the highest grossing ever, and they just keep producing things at such a high quality, like
yeah,
the next Dragon Ball movie is going to be incredible.
yeah,
Like it's going to be incredible, and you got the new arc of Super, all this stuff, right? I think that Dragon Ball, at least for like the next 5 to 10 years, has a really, really, really bright future, and that has a direct correlation with DBS, especially if they like print to people's desires from feedback. You got to cater to the collectors, not just the players. You know what I mean?
of course,
Um,
of
and
course.
same goes with SDBH. Like the arcade game is growing popularity, and I think that that'll stick around for as long as Dragon Ball remains relevant and popular. Like, it's got to be one of the most popular arcade games they have in all their arcades. So it doesn't make any sense to cancel it anytime soon, right?
Of course, yeah.
So I think 5 to 10 years, I think is a good bet
I think that's
until
safe to say. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's safe to
depending
say.
on what happens. Like maybe it gets to a point in Dragon Ball where Goku is just like he becomes the new Zeno or something. Like you can't really go beyond that. You know what I mean?
No,
Um,
that's true.
so I think that's definitely definitely on the horizon. Because of that, right? You think about arcade card games. The cards from the first sets, like H1 through to H8, so Heroes Set 1 to Heroes Set 8, and then Galaxy Mission, which was like the first expansion, or I guess they refer to them as missions beyond the original set. Galaxy Mission 1 through 10, like they were the first couple years. They were a very long time ago. Less people played, so less cards were won from the machines. They were probably less printed because obviously they're not going to print as many as they do now when they don't know what the reception is going to be like, from the target audience. You think about cards like that for an arcade card game, and you think, well, 5 or 10 years, like when Dragon Ball is still like insanely popular, like what one, how are you going to get mint copies? Right? As a collector, how are you going to get mint copies? And 2, how are you going to get any copies? Because, like, seriously, it's an arcade card game. You're getting them individually from these people or hobby stores or whatever in Japan. They're not being reprinted. The extent they go with SDBH for reprints is they do fan voted like campaigns between sets, and every few sets they'll do like a card or sometimes like a couple cards as a reprint in that set, and it'll usually be like as a like an extra card in the set. It doesn't disrupt like the flow with the other rarities or anything.
Yeah.
But it'll have like a CP at the end of the rarity, like on the label.
Yeah.
They'll usually technically be like ultimate rare, like with the 4 stars on the back, but they always put like the campaign like little stamp
Campaign promo,
at the end of it, and they'll be the fan voted ones, but they don't actually reprint them
The
as
original.
they were. They always
Yeah.
change the foiling, or they like add more shadow foil and change the foiling.
Mhm.
So it's not the same
It's not the
card.
original,
Like you see in
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh, for
Yeah,
example.
I mean, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many reprints.
Exactly. But that's the extent they go with reprints. They don't reprint sets or anything like that. Once a set's through the machine, that's it. And there's no reason for them to ever change that either, because it's the whole concept of Heroes. It's flowing along with this storyline. It's archaic, but it's a storyline that is written, and it just diverging from that to reprint old sets and put them in the machine, like that doesn't make any sense.
No,
does
that's
it?
true.
So,
It only goes one way. All right. So
yeah.
you
So
move forward. Yeah.
exactly, and it's not like the Western market with the TCG, where there's packs printed and sent out to local game shops across continents, stock everywhere. People grab sealed product, they hold on to it. Like it's limited
I
Japan,
think that's amazing.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So in 5-10 years, you're not going to see these copies of cards
Of course.
showing up. Like it's crazy to think about, but like it's gonna dry up. It
Yeah.
has to. Like, you know, obviously the new sets come out, blah, blah, blah. Those cards will be around at the time, but the older set cards, how are you gonna get them? So it's really interesting to think about that Japan's just literally just gonna dry up of a product like that people want without the actual game being like abandoned or anything. But yeah, that's one interesting concept to consider for arcade card games compared to CCGs.
Man, I'm so happy you brought that up, because for collectors, exclusivity is so important. There's so many collectors that are just drawn in by, you know, rarity, or, you know, like you said, it's exclusive to Japan. It's never to be printed again, and that's already, I mean, an incentive to get into DBS for a lot of collectors, and that's we don't even talk about artwork and quality.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, with my latest podcast with PokeDet, we had conversations about Pokemon, and now I'm back into Pokemon. I hate to say it, but I purchased again some Pokemon cards, and I can already feel myself becoming drawn to to SDBH after our conversation.
Oh no.
I'm like, oh man, I gotta stop doing these podcasts. Oh man, but I mean, you've convinced me, man. You've convinced me. It's like, I mean, SDBH is something
now
really.
It's not all okay. That concept I brought up, like that's 100%. Like it's really hard to see a way or a reality where it won't continue down that path.
Yeah.
Because it's not in Bandai's interest to have them available anyway. Like it's all secondary market. You're not buying sealed products of these like reprinted things or whatever. So the thing is though, it's not like I believe what are the secret rare hit rates with like DBS boxes?
1 in 18 currently.
1 in 18 boxes you'll get a secret rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how much is that in dollars, do you reckon, to find that secret?
You can buy it on the secondary market or buy it at shops for, I would say, 200 USD, something like that. 150 if it's an unpopular character or something.
But actually
goes
buying
down,
the boxes
course,
to get it though.
Yeah, no, that's so expensive because I mean, it's about 80 USD per box, and that is if you are able to find it at MSRP. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty expensive. It's too expensive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, but the comparison to Heroes, right? It's not as crazy to get the secrets. As much as there's usually 3 in a set. You'll play, and I've tested this in a few different ways. One of which was with each set, actually, I've been able to grab boxes that the arcades get sent, and those little boxes are sent directly from Bandai. They have 2 stacks sealed, like 2 sealed stacks of 100 cards in them. I've opened some of them before, right, just to see what it's like, and it's literally exactly as described. It's what they put in the machines. So as you go through these 100 card stacks, it's like you're playing the arcade machine 100 times over for each stack. There's like a rough ratio of hit cards for every 200 cards, like every 2 stacks. But it was a really interesting look into what the hit rates are like. And for secrets, it's about 1 in every 4 stacks. So it's about 1 in every 400 cards.
That's incredible.
But that's not anywhere near 1 in 18 boxes. Like 1 in 18 boxes is off its head. What 1 in 400 plays for a secret on average, right? 4 stacks. You might get the first stack and it's got it right, but that's 400 times 100 yen. You know, that's 40,000 yen, which for Australian dollars is about $500.
Obviously, if you're gonna crack 18 boxes to get your secret rare, yes, I mean, what the hell are you doing, man? But to be fair, it's you have 3 secret rares. And to get 1 specific secret rare, it's 18 boxes. But there are 3 secret rares. So 1 in 6 boxes, you have a secret rare. So it would cost you about the same probably. Then also around 400. Yeah, to get a secret rare, because as you said for SDBH, it's also you have also 3 secret rares.
Yeah.
And it's 1 in 400 plays or something. So it would actually cost you the same thing to either play 400 games or
Yeah, the thing with Heroes is, I mean, in DBS, I suppose you get the SPRs, which are quite nice sometimes. You know? But
absolutely.
With Heroes, you're getting the ultimates. Very secret. I think it's usually 2 ultimates per 100 cards. So I guess you'd get 7 to 8 ultimates. Usually 7, because as I said earlier, we refer to them as secrets, but it's actually a secret ultimate. So it takes that ultimate's place.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. Sorry. In terms of costs versus hits, it's actually pretty much the same as DBS then.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing to consider. But over time, right, it's going to dry up in Japan. It has to, right? That there's not an infinite number of cards, and if popularity grows, then it has to dry up at some point. You don't just have an abundance that are like readily available on the market. Like you don't just see a new set come out, say when, I don't know, Tournament Power came out or whatever, and you've got like these signature cards just like everywhere. Like one person has like 5 of them just after launch. Like it's not quite like that, because all the cards seem to culminate and get traded into like one place. It's like the hobby stores are magnets for them, and unless the cards are like super playable, the people just tend to hang on to them. No.
Yeah.
Because they're not that big into collecting, you know, aside from some of the older sealed like limited cards and things like that. Because like as much as Pokemon's gotten more popular and like might be harder to get on to some cards, there's still so much sealed product just sitting in around places. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. But that's where collectors like you and I play a big role in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, because you will hold the supply, you will hold the few copies that are available out there, you will hold them, and I see you spreading the love for SDBH continuously. So some people might use the argument like, but if everything is dried up, you need some supply to satisfy the demand. If there's no supply, then it's only going to be a super exclusive thing. Right, like trophy cards or something. It's super exclusive. It's not popular in the sense that's lots of people will collect it because it's just so exclusive. So if you make the argument
Right.
like, yeah, all these amazing looking cards, they are just getting gobbled up by these, hobby shops and never to be seen again, then yeah, I mean, then the hobby can dry out. The hobby in itself, the collecting aspect of the hobby can die out, don't you think?
Yeah. It depends if it ever reaches a point where there's enough people interested in it. Maybe, yeah, they've already got them. Maybe there's some other new thing that Dragon Ball comes out with that's even better, or whatever. Like, they just don't want them anymore for some reason. I couldn't see why personally, but I'm a bit biased. But that's a possibility, right? Everyone that wants the cards gets them. So whatever other copies are left, like the value is going to go down. The demand's not there. So it's interesting. Drying up over in Japan could have two very drastic effects.
It's very interesting. I mean, to me, this is a brand new world because it's so not comparable to TCGs. It's so not comparable. It's just so difficult for me to understand and kind of predict the future. I think it's fairly easy when you've been already for a couple of years in a hobby. I mean, like you and I are very passionate about it. It's kind of easy to predict the future at some point. But for arcade games, for me, this is just like a new train of thought I need to go on. But the way I see it now after our conversation is like, yeah, I mean, arcade games are so popular in Japan. They're made for Japanese by Japanese. There's no, I mean, why would they stop anyways? It's just so popular. Dragon Ball is such a popular franchise, especially there as well. And it just, I mean, it's been around for over 10 years. Why would it stop all of a sudden? So it's in that regard, I'd say that Super Dragon Ball Heroes is or Dragon Ball Heroes in general. I mean, has been around for 3 times longer than DBS.
Yeah, it's hard to think about that.
Yeah. So it has already proven itself. The longevity is already there. Westerners are gonna, jump on this from a collector side of things. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this evolves.
Yeah. Black labels are just, I don't know, it's just like something else. Yeah, it just feels like it's like, I know you said that grading and such will be a topic for another podcast episode.
Oh,
but,
definitely, yeah.
I guess that might be a point to touch on, black labels and how they fit into everything, because it just seems like what's their future? You know what I mean? Like it's just like this this unique factor to it that, whenever anyone talks about market price of things, it's like, PSA 9 is this multiplier for this kind of card, and PSA 10 is this much more usually. And then you bring in black labels and they're like, well, it could go for anything, really. Whatever people want to pay for it.
Yeah, but that's I mean, this is how market is establishes itself. It's like how much does someone wants to pay for a specific card or a specific grade. That's basically how the market works. But for black labels, there's so little out there. I mean, I mean, you do have some exceptions where you do have a fair bit of black labels around, but for most black labels, there's just no market price because they just pop up. So they never pop up for sale. So
even for heroes, right? We've seen, especially before like Pop Control and stuff, there were more of them being graded in black label.
Yeah.
And you look at like the last 90 days, like eBay history, whatever, you see 2 that have sold. 2. It's like, and 3 that have even been for sale, minus promo. Actually 4, I think. Sorry. So it's like, well, what are you meant to do with that? Like, how do you value your collection? How do you work out if you should keep investing your money into this kind of thing, or if you should just keep it aside because you really love it as a collection piece and not sell it for that reason? Like, from what you were talking about in your dark side of collecting episode, it's hard for these high-end items. It's hard to think like that, to think in a way where like, I'm only going to collect what I love and blah blah blah, but I have these cards that seem like are they like an investment for, a few years from now, or am I going to regret getting rid of them deeply for that reason? Like,
Yeah.
is this grade actually that hard to get, or are there these other ones out there? Because Beckett's pop control doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sorry, the pop report doesn't exist, is what I meant to say.
Man,
Um,
being a collector is so difficult, man. There's just so many aspects to the hobby to consider, and it's all. I mean, obviously, you need money to engage in the hobby to buy the card. So
yeah,
there. I mean, it's not like uh, gaming or
knitting.
something where you buy the game and then you're set. In order to engage in the deeper aspects of our hobby, you need to spend more, and at some point you got to
Yep.
make priorities. And do you want to chase that black label? Okay, cool, but you might be freezing your capital for the coming 3 months just to chase that one black label.
And then what do you do with it? Like,
Yeah.
maybe you get it eventually, and it
What
might be
now?
worth a little bit more than all the money you put into it. But like, are you gonna hold on to it?
Yeah.
Is it because you really, really loved it and wanted to keep it, but now you've spent all your savings to? Yeah, it's a tricky space, and I'm really interested to
Uh,
see how it develops over the next, decade, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to even have a tangible idea of actual realized profits, because when you're in the grading game and you're like, okay, Beckett
yeah.
grading, here's I don't know, just a random number. Here's $10,000 or here's $20,000 to grade these cards, because for some reason you've decided, yep, grading actually costs this much now instead of $30 like before.
Yeah.
Uh, Here, take my money and blah blah blah. And then like, what tangible profits do you have? Like, that money's gone. You've got these cards graded, but a lot of them you're keeping in your personal collection. A lot of them you don't even know the value of, because Heroes Market, I mean, it's become more evident as time's gone on, but that's been the biggest thing figuring out for me, like actual market value for cards over time, especially graded cards. That's been really tricky to navigate. I'm in a position now where it's, I've got a solid base to go off of, but to begin with, it was super challenging. So yeah, when you're in that space where you're grading and moving and stock and spending so much money on trying to grow things, not just the business, but the community and the awareness, the profit is all right there in the business. It just goes straight back in.
That's amazing, man. You the profits you make of your business are basically allowing you to engage even more in the hobby, and
Yeah, and that's always been the
just
goal.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And even if you sell lots of cards, in the end you're handling your cards, you're seeing the cards for yourself, and it's just another
Exactly,
way
and
to
that's an
engage in
awesome
the hobby,
aspect.
right?
Yeah,
So I'm
definitely.
after talking to Pokedet
Mm,
in Pop 4, which you'll have to listen to eventually.
yeah.
I've definitely started considering starting my own business, because
That way you can
it's
actually
one
handle all
thing.
these awesome cards.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's
exactly.
no
Because
concern. Like, you're not holding on to it. Like, yeah.
yeah, now of course there's a conflicting interest, whereas you as a yeah, but you as a collector, you grade all these cards, and I suppose I can only imagine that you said for yourself, okay, I'm gonna sell off 90% of the graded cards, but what if you get like 6 black labels? Are you gonna sell those black
Uh,
labels? Probably not.
yeah, I know, right?
Right.
I mean, even half the
There goes
tens.
there goes your profit.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
there's
very
definitely
tricky.
a huge conflicting interest
Yes.
as a collector trying to sell cards, because you want to hold on to everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you got
Mm-hmm.
to keep the ball rolling, I guess.
You've got
But
to, and it requires some hard decisions, that's for
yeah,
sure. Anyway, I think that's about everything I wanted to cover today. I don't know how much else people
man,
would be interested to hear.
thank you so much for this. I mean, thank you so much, because like I said, like SDBH has been kind of a big question mark for me. I see this
Yep.
amazing artwork, I'm like praying for Bandai to print in DBS, and it's
Hmm.
probably not gonna happen. I mean, I don't see them
yeah, I mean, you just have so many amazing cards, and I'm like, these are just not gonna be all secret rares. It's just not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna have
Well,
to bite the bullet and get into
yeah,
SDBH. I think, yeah, yeah.
but if there's anything else that I can send across, I'd be happy to do that for you, mate. It's been an awesome time talking to you.
Man, thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
to wrap it up completely. What's like the one advice you would give to new collectors, people that are
Oh
looking
boy.
into SDBH?
Whew,
You have 2
the one
minutes.
advice? Oh boy. Okay. The one advice I would give to new collectors getting to DBH. Well, I mean, you'd have to say the same thing for, your DBS or your Pokemon or whatever. Don't just look at your Apexes and your Awakens. I mean, sure, pick them up if you really like them, if you love them, right? That's your advice from your self-help collector episode. But you like, especially with heroes, and especially after I mean, there's over 2,000 products on there already, but a lot of them are out of stock, right, over time. But
Yeah.
when the new update hits and it's a full catalog for each character of like pretty much every awesome card from each of the main rarities for the last 8 years, what you want to do is you want to be like, okay, I'll consider that card that everyone has that is really
The
popular,
Grails,
that
yeah.
Grails,
Yeah.
that Grail, that Awaken, that Apex, or the new Apex of Fusion, the counterpart. But I'm also just gonna pick out my favorite character or two and just scroll through, because there are amazing cards in Heroes that are dirt cheap. The campaign promos being the notable mention, where you can get a card that is just incredible, like immaculately foiled art, everything textured for $10. Like, you know what I mean? You can't just limit yourself to the most popular cards you see shared everywhere. You've got to extend, and who knows, maybe you'll even save money doing that and enjoy collecting the cards more.
Man, I can definitely get behind that advice. For people listening, we're at 2 hours and 42 minutes right now, so
Yeah.
I will definitely edit it down to around 1 hour or something. I will try to
Good luck.
keep the conversation relevant, but if it's not possible, man, I'm just gonna keep it at 2 hours. People have been asking for longer type of interviews, so this one might be the first.
It might be too hard not to, yeah.
Well, Jake, thank you so much, man. It's been a great
Tom.
time. I had a blast, man. All the people that I'm interviewing are definitely inspirations, and you're one of them, man. So,
wow.
yeah.
I think my heart just skipped a beat. All right. Well, I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Talk to you soon, man. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Passion Over Profits podcast. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more DBS Collectors content. Interested in which guest we're having next week? Find out in the next episode of Dragon Ball's Passion Over Profits. Yes, Passion Over Profits.